very fun idea, but I think they're going to have to ban Vi because they are on red side, and Vi is not allowed to be played in the LCK. That is just how it is.
Yep, Vi is not allowed to be played. We've seen a lot of other bans like Gwen, Callista, stuff like that from the red side especially. Just want to deny it. And yeah, the desk immediately after the pre-show was like, yeah, this isn't going to work because then Chovy can just play anything else. Like, he can play Wei, he can play any, Orianna, he can play a lot of other different stuff.
He can play Cassante mid.
It won't be the top, that's true. He can play tanks. It won't be the top of the line in terms of tier list, but I think when it does get down to lower tier picks, like Chovy will still have the advantage. So
yeah, let's not forget that Showmaker loses all those picks too.
Yeah.
If they did go for that type of draft. Xiu has had so many phenomenal games of Ambessa. I feel like he's really pushed the limit, the boundaries of this champion. And even though we're not super high on it right now as a pick in general, especially with some of the other top picks it's picked into, I feel like Xiu does deserve the respect that Gen.G are going to show here with
He's the only one, I think.
Yeah.
Not even Keen. I don't even want to see Keen play this champion. If there's one person who's allowed to play it, it's Xiu. So I think banning it is actually smart because not even Keen wants to play it, right? Just get it away. Take it away.
Yeah.
So we don't have to see it.
With the Gwen ban here, we'll probably see a Jace ban to follow, unless they want to just let Keen have it and they have an answer, which I would not suggest. They will take that away. That was a lot of strong picks left up and available here. Even the Azir, I feel, is first pickable in a situation like this. The Rumble is the top pick in the top lane right now and will be hovered here by Keen for the moment. I think it's a wise choice. I mean, Callista and Varus, you banned them yourself. Feels like a very safe pick here. Very blindable. Showmaker will snap up that Azir, it looks like, in return. And we may just simply have the Azir Taliyah handshake here in game one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Chovy's Taliyah has been disgusting. He's on I think he's on a 15-game winning streak with that. He hasn't lost since 2023. It's something ridiculous. We had the stat last time out, and he's going to get a chance to play it. There's no reason really to not play it here. Lee Sin will not be played. There's a lot of other stuff you could pick, like Zhao.
Yeah.
Poppy, also very high tier. But Azir Xinjiao just feel like kind of the 1-2 we see very often.
The Xinjiao win rate still hovers at close to 65%, which is just so insane given its prevalence. And the Fury will be locked in here, not with the Ahri, but with that Taliyah we mentioned. So a lot of burst potential here. And it's very good into Azir specifically because you can go untargetable when Azir tries to peel away with his ultimate, and you can also bait his ultimate out. And there's a lot of cool stuff you could do in that matchup. So I do like this. We've seen so many range tops played into the Rumble in the past. Keen also been a Ryze enjoyer, but I don't know if it necessarily fits the bill for this composition. I like the Ezreal a lot more. There's no Callista, there's no Varus, but we're going to see the Ornn lock in here. Now, this is not a champion I really associate with Xiu at all, but it's going to give them so much scaling later on with the ornaments to come through. And it's a pretty, you lose the lane to Rumble, but you don't really give up too much by playing this Ornn. It's difficult to dive.
Yeah, it was a very common counter pick into Rumble. Not really a counter, like you were saying. It just feels like it handles it well, like a neutralizer, especially before it got nerfed like 8 times. But even now, I feel like it is an answer. It's just funny that we see it this early on into the Rumble when there are a lot of other great picks, like the Aurora, like the Ryze, that he could have gone into, but elects to go for the Ornn. So definitely, I feel like the biggest surprise so far of the draft.
Ezreal is a no-brainer here, considering they already have the Fury Taliyah in this comp. So, that's what you lose by grabbing the Ornn, which makes the Ornn pick a little bit more puzzling, because I don't know if Gen.G would have been able to figure out that you were going to play this anyways and ban it away from you. And now they've lost the Ezreal here. So it feels like a slight misstep in draft, and maybe DPLUS Kia considering some other options, in fact, other than the Ezreal for this bottom lane. I mean, in the past, we'd see a Jinx in this composition. I feel like it could definitely work here for aiming, even though it's less commonly played these days, especially by him. But, you get the reset, you pop off later on in the team fight, scales incredibly well, does well with the ornaments. It's one of the best scaling picks, I think, available that Gen.G could ban. Also, you could take the Zeri away. That's the other option.
Yeah, the other thing is that aiming is fantastic at MF, but the MF doesn't fit as well with the Ornn as the picks that you highlighted, Wolf. So I think that's a good idea. They're going to ban the Kai'Sa instead. Kai'Sa can also be a huge menace in the late game, but there's just too many things to ban, right? You can't ban Jinx and Zeri and Kai'Sa and, MF.
They banned Nautilus here, so maybe they just do take the Zeri, in fact, and feel comfortable to do so and leave that counter pick for Beryl. So he has a safe lane here with the Zeri to make sure that aiming doesn't have a rough time, and also potentially a pick he can roam on and start to impact the lanes. Alistar will be the choice, though, going for the upper echelon, the tier list pick here in the bottom lane. Alistar is just really not comp dependent or lane dependent right now. It doesn't feel like, sure, you can lose out level 1 pretty easily, but you don't get as bopped as you used to. So
yeah,
I feel like it's okay.
It's a classic barrel pick as well. You know, 2019 barrel Alistar is fantastic.
Xayah
brings it back.
Feels like she's in such a good place right now. Like we were big Xayah doubters for a really long time, but I actually like both the Xayah and the Jhin here work well with the comp that kind of dives and has that single target blow up. Jhin can follow up from far away. Xayah follows up from short range, but actually does a ton of damage later on in the game. Jhin is going to be a little bit tougher to pilot if you lose control of the game, but let's be frank, Gen.G doesn't do that very often. There's not a whole lot of Gen.G with a gold deficit, you know, around 15, 20 minutes into the game.
Well, game 1 might be where they do it, but, you know, we'll see if that comes back to bite them.
I think it's a pretty safe Zeri angle here.
It feels like you should go for a hyper carry, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he just locks in maybe his best AD carry at the moment.
The weird thing about Misfortune that we've learned, and like you said, it's his best pick so far this season. He's done insane numbers. He had the double quadra kill either a week ago or the week before on this pick. And what we've learned about Misfortune is initially kind of our thoughts on Misfortune. If you look at, like, they've got Rel, they've got good to pull it off Valdez. I think Gen.G, definitely a team good enough. And if they get control of this game early, there is no scaling conversation.
There is no scaling conversation. They do have boats loads of damage as well. We are ready to hop on the rip for game number 1. All right.
I mean, they happen. They're just we got to turn the dial up a little bit.
White team.
Yeah. You could hear them. It's just they were maybe not fed into our audio. Maybe you guys heard them better than we did, but anyway, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
The Korean commentators who are also here with us, they knew to wait. I guess we'll give it a better try in game 2.
We got the timing down. We're ready.
All right, here we go. This is exciting. This is really a big match. You know, one that I've had circled on my calendar for a while, but now that we're here and it's actually real, you know, it feels even more exciting than I could have imagined. This draft here feels really strong for both teams, and we've seen so many botched drafts in this season of the LCK, but usually not with teams of this caliber. I'm happy to see that's, of course, remaining true here in game 1 of our Saturday Showdown. Alistar going to struggle here, level 1. We're going to try to get that 4th shot in. Just put the pressure on.
Oh, nice headbutt. Just out of the brush. Looks like he placed a ward right when he knew Duro would come out of there.
Amy still flashes, so
yeah,
still a big win here for the side of Duro.
It's pretty interesting. Maybe not on the same page, those two. Maybe the nerves, you know, this early on. Flashing at a minute and a half of the game is questionable.
Yeah, at level 1. That's going to feel real bad here for the Misfortune. Not the end of the lane or anything like that, but feels like a freebie if you're Gen.G.
Yeah, especially at level 1, this lane of Jinrel is going to bully quite a lot, but getting a flash is just a huge bonus. Mid lane, it does look like Jovi is winning against Showmaker so far. Top lane, looks like she was doing a good job of pushing that one in, so at least DK have a little bit of pressure up there.
Yeah. And Lucid 4-0 on this Xin Zhao pick. He's part of the near 65% win rate on the Xin Zhao that we have seen every top jungler play and pilot incredibly well. And even some of our middle to lower junglers have found some success on it just because it's so robust, so difficult to punish, has such a long engage range. He's not a traditional engaged jungler, but he can really help out. And he's pretty tanky, he's pretty strong into the Nefiri.
Yeah, it's interesting because you would think, like, if, by the way, this is an interesting stat as well. We see these two picked together all the time. They both win a lot. They're both very high tier in the LCK, so it kind of makes sense that when they're picked together, you oftentimes win. But, you know, you would think in the 1v1, the Nefiri might be able to, like, get in the circle, be able to do an amount of burst damage to Xin Zhao to actually be able to battle him. But early on, Xin Zhao is stronger, and then later on, you're not really going all in on a Xin Zhao. You want to go for other targets. So
exactly.
It kind of makes sense that the Xin Zhao is in such a strong spot against Nefiri.
And the fact that both the Azir and the Xin Zhao have the disengage portions of their kit really helps out. I mean, primarily their ultimates, of course, and that will allow them to survive through a lot of different types of dives and exchanges. A little bit of a skirmish here over this ward control. Looks like Barrow will maintain it. That's pretty significant. They have a deeper ward in the river there as well as one on Canyon at the moment. So a lot of information here for DPLUS in this early game.
At least Canyon did clear it out. That's that little extra bonus CS that he has right now. But yeah, he's going to be spotted just going for another full clear. Looks like no back out of him. They can easily just check in his items to know that.
You can see Aiming's flash is almost back up. So unless Duro can find a really crazy angle here, which I don't think is likely, especially into the counter he opted for, the Alistair, like he self-counterpicked in some aspects here. It's going to be hard to punish the flash, so I think DPLUS, even though it looked scary for the outset there, feeling okay about things for now. But they're putting the wave in such a frustrating place where they're making Aiming really work for it. He's got no flash and he's got to get that farm. And Beryl is using his headbutt already.
Yeah, does go for the pulverize after the fact as Duro to go in. Aiming actually took a decent trade against Ruler, but it still is a lane that is winning to the side of Gen.G. You can see with Beryl's health bar this low. Looking for his trample here as he goes in onto Ruler, and the Sun is actually going to hit onto Duro, but he gets the flash out of Ruler, as Ruler does have to respect that. So actually, it does feel pretty good for the DK bottom lane.
Yeah, actually going to miss the flourish there as well, so not quite actually able to stop the back. Feels really nice here for DPLUS, and this is while Lucida's taken the Dragon on control vision here, so everything in the bottom side of the map going very well for DPLUS. They also have a ward on the outside of the pit just in case Canyon decided to drop a ward in to see if he could go for the 50-50. They really did account for everything in this early game. We mentioned the neutralization power of Ornn in this lane, so he already has his Negatron Cloak online, so tons of magic resistance already picked up. You can just have for free because of Ornn's passive, and is actually starting to push the wave in. Canyon will look for the cross map here on the Grubs. Both mid laners have already used their teleport, so with the walk back to lane here, I don't think we're going to see a fight, but down here, Vision Toggle.
Yeah, Ruler stuck around, and you know what? He is going to be punished for it quite a bit. Can they get the kill is the question. Stun comes in, and barrier is used, and that will be enough. But now Ruler, no flash, no barrier, and sticks around for the wave, and he gets punished for it.
Yeah, and they had control vision on the Tribrush. They had vision around the Dragon Pit. They knew Canyon wasn't anywhere nearby. This is really good shot calling here from Beryl. Finding these wraparound angles and punishing this flashless Jhin. They don't have enough damage to get the kill, but taking that second summoner away, putting that extra pressure on feels really nice. Keen has already come down here to the bottom lane, though. They were planning the swap, so then we'll get a small tempo advantage there as Ruler is also heading up to the top lane. And a late back here for Aiming. You can see Ruler is catching the wave topside, though. It's not like Aiming's going to be losing a plate for this slight advantage Gen.G do have in terms of the speed of the swap.
Yeah. I think Homalife Esports is the team that swaps the fastest. They're always in the top lane at like 3 minutes 40. Like Viper and Lens are like, okay, goodbye. We're going top. And I mean, it does work out pretty well for them. But yeah, these two teams not going for it until 7 minutes in.
Showmaker really hasn't fallen prey to any of Chovy's attempted shoves or any of that. Has been very stable in this laning phase, even though Chovy's built up a decent CS lead. It's not like Showmaker's under kill threat or anything like that. Not very many opportunities for Canyon. The plate did go over to Keen, so even though this top lane advantage wasn't really that big of a deal like we mentioned earlier, one plate to the Rumble does give him a 200 gold lead here over the Ornn. Observer's very cautiously watching this 2v2 for a majority of this game.
Yeah, makes sense. A lot of action there already. 2 flashes burned, both 80 carries, actually 3 if you include Beryl.
Yeah.
So just really trying to find it. There's a shove finally here onto Showmaker. Going on in is Duro, and we got the ult coming out from the Jhin, and that will be the first blood going over to Gen.G.
Ruler with the prediction on the shuffle. Takes him out. Showmaker, no way out of that one. Once you're in that shuffle animation, I mean, you're basically doomed if Ruler predicts you like that. Now Chovy's going to pick up a plate plus the assist gold he already grabbed, and Showmaker is going to lose a little bit of CS here. Doesn't have his teleport back just yet, so we'll actually lose the full wave of minions there in the mid lane. And even though DPLUS have had some really big moments, you know, taking the Dragon, the controlled vision they had bottom side, Barrel's little play on the Ruler, none of them have really amounted to significant leads, whereas Gen.G are starting to pull ahead. And this is a composition, obviously, that should be ahead early, but Gen.G making those advantages known in a very concrete way.
Oh, next flash out of the brush. A little bit too far away, though. So that Ruler walked up, and then he walked back towards Duro, so at least still aware that his flash is very close to getting up here. We got some rocks on the ground as Showmaker just going to go through them instead. Takes a good trade. Gets the shield on the dash as well. It's, you know, if you know that nobody's there, that's absolutely the best way to take the trade.
100% can be very surprising as well to the Talia to see that, but he gets into range to do some additional damage there. I do like how you explained that because I think it was a very nice call there by Showmaker. And game will slow down here again for just a moment. I imagine we'll probably have a replay of that mid-play, maybe even from Ruler's first-person view on the predict. That would be really fun to see, but that's the only kill here across the first 10 minutes of play. A lot of action, but let's see.
Well, we got the angle, not the first-person
So
view.
he gets the shove. He still has, of course, his slide, but the soldier is here. Does drop the ult, and then predicted. Cinematic.
Yeah. Mid dash. Flash still up. Did not matter. Ruler knew. And he gets his kill. And that's going to be big. I mean, you really want to make sure you get that first item quickly on the Jin. Start to run around real fast with your Yomus, and then as fast as you possibly can, hit RFC and then IE.
Yeah.
Kind of the standard build you see, as we have the ult coming down here on a Ruler, just trying to walk it out, but then elects to flash. And now a route onto Barrel, but he is Alistair, so just going to open up now. Actually shooting onto aiming first shot, but there comes the flash, just to make sure. And a wild fourth shot trying to predict, not going to happen.
Yeah, I think Barrel also pretty aware that there's a pretty high likelihood that Canyon's on the top side of the map here because Grubs have spawned. And this play and the counterplay there from Gen.G will actually guarantee Grub control right now. Showmaker does have his ultimate available, but it's not anywhere near.
He's going to put down a wall, just saying, do not come in here. It's 6 Grubs over to Gen.G already as Showmaker trying to go in onto him, actually. We got the Canyon ult as well as he gets the sweep and barely gets out with his life. Gen.G, they do have to stick around, though, after that play, and Duro will have to pay for it, as he will be the sacrifice.
So Gen.G walk away with 6 Grubs here. They do end up losing Duro, and I think the subsequent fight was very risky for DPLUS, but they do end up getting the kill onto the Rel. Kill going over to Lucid in the exchange, but man, that was really scary for Showmaker coming in that late. I think Gen.G's call to collapse on him was pretty nice. But instead, the shove is good enough, and I guess Canyon did not have his untargetable there. Did end up escaping anyways, and they just leave the Rel, sadly, to die. We'll watch it again. As Showmaker comes over here alone, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, there's no Weaver's Wall, but you're alone, and they have so much engaged here. You see the Fury ult come in right away. The ult from Showmaker pushes Canyon away, so he actually lives. And then the follow-up here from Lucid onto this immobile Rel who doesn't have flashes. A pretty easy follow-up. Shio also committed his teleport to join here on the play, and then will clash with Keen in the top lane. But Keen gets teleport advantage out of this. So not a play here for DPLUS where everything goes the way they wanted. And it's still 6 Grubs here on the other side is going to hurt. And Azir would have loved to have some of those for some side lane pressure.
Just not going to see any side lane pressure from them. You see Gen.G is sticking around this Dragon. It is the next objective that they could get, would give them their first feat of strength. And you see DK, they want to fight over this. Lucid's already over the wall with the Blast Cone, but they don't really have a ton of pressure. Could see a 4-on-4 here. Even a 5-on-4, though, because Keen does have teleport advantage on Xiwu. So you see up in the top lane, if you look at the mini-map, the Xiwu actually trying to follow him through the jungle and trying to deny the TP from coming through. We'll see if he can do that. But now the engage comes in from Duro. The TP does get off, and DK are just going to get away. They do get away with their lives for now, but now Barrel, he doesn't have his flash, and down he will go. It's an easy pickup here. Another kill for Ruler as well. Duro, another sacrifice from him as he goes to the right instead of just down. And, well, he'll go down.
I suppose, but
X-Tech Soul.
X-Tech Soul here, picking up this Dragon feels really nice for Gen.G now, especially knowing the Soul. And I do think that with like Canyon committed his smite to the Scuttle Crab, and so at that moment you're like, okay, well we need to actually win this fight to secure the dragon. I think they're okay to commit that smite there because they know Keen has teleport advantage. And you mentioned, you called that right away, like if this teleport gets interrupted, this fight could look different, and unfortunately they're not able to find Keen, so he does get in here. It's Duro's engage though that's the most important part of this. They do flip back onto him, but look at how much control Gen.G now have, and this is the power of Jin. You just can't get away. There's no escape. You can follow up on anything. The bullet time does kind of keep Duro out of the picture. He can't actually rejoin his teammates, otherwise he would have burned down by the bullet time. Does end up giving the kill over to Lucid. Both kills in the game here for DPLUS are Lucid's now on this Xin Zhao, because we have a lurking jungler. I see that pet.
Yeah, we see it. Keen doesn't, and he doesn't have flash, so that's part of the reason. You know, you got flash, you got ult here for Shiwu. Could still try to make it happen, but there's a ward here.
I think Keen sees it in his mind's eye. I think he's aware that there's a pretty high chance and isn't gonna overstep.
I mean, you see Shiwu like checking all the brushes and clearing out the wards. It is a little bit sus. So might as well just hug the turret. You're down a flash. No reason to play aggressive when you don't have to.
No, certainly not. The Rookern is done here for Shiwu. It's going to give him a little bit more power in this lane. He obviously has Merc Treads as well. So, you know, it's not like the Rumble is putting any pressure onto him anymore in a very real sense. Take a lot more resources to actually push that Ornn back now. You see that, speaking of, Canyon is topside at the moment. It's going to be difficult to kill an Ornn with flash and ult, with no CC to speak of here. So see how optimistic they try to look for this.
Well, just going to throw an equalizer in. Already untargetable did go Canyon. A bit of burn damage. You know, some bleed and some burn. And Shiwu just walks it off. He is still Ornn.
Yeah, he's the great neutralizer. And again, there's no CC with this setup, so just walks off. Showmaker is getting some alone time down here in this bottom lane, but doesn't have grubs, as we called out earlier, even though he has the Nashor's Tooth. So I think that Gen.G with Chovy down there pretty happy with the situation. It's a pretty even game, though. 500 gold is not the average for Gen.G at 15 minutes. Usually getting towards like 3,000 in most cases. So at least DPLUS are staving the pressure off because they have a composition that scales really well with ornaments, with the Azir, and they have so much zone control. We saw it in action on that last Dragon fight. That's why they end up getting the exit kill there onto Duro.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried with nameplates on, though. You know, there is a lot of pressure on Showmaker specifically to be the guy who carries in the late game with an ornament, with the Azir. You know, he's been slumping. Just putting it straight, right? He hasn't been having the best time, so he's going to need to perform at a very high level to carry his team, whereas Gen.G have a lot of threats, especially this Jin, as now Lucid is getting incredibly low, but Duro also is burning down, and that's a Xin Zhao. You don't want to engage onto that, and now a big bullet time to force Gen.G away. DK in a pretty good spot, some low health bars, but they're up 5-4.
Maker still has his ult.
Yeah, equalizer in 5, which unfortunately not the best timing for Keen on that one. A fourth shot to come down. He's going to miss, actually. Equalizer is thrown in. A root on Shiwu, but that is an Ornn. And DK get away with the eye and the win in the fight.
Beryl ends up getting Chovy's flash as well at the very tail end of things. It's a third death for Duro, so DPLUS already starting to win team fights here. Feeling really good about what that could potentially look like later on in the game because they had the setup there. And we already talked about the zone controls. This could be a dead Rumble. I think it likely will be.
Yeah, he is absolutely dead. I mean, there was a ward on the Krugs. I thought he saw Lucid moving over. Maybe he didn't expect 3 people to be coming over. Either way, it's a mistake. With no flash available, he's dead.
You can hear the roar of those DPLUS fans. Even though the crowd looks mostly Gen.G colored, there's still a ton of them in the arena there in Suwon. So big win here for DPLUS. Finally a non-Lucid kill to come across. Let's look at the zone control in this fight. Now, Duro's angle that he takes here is really cool because with the target he looks for Showmaker as well. It's hard to headbutt him away as Beryl, but unfortunately the team isn't quite able to follow up the way he wants to, and that's a Xin Zhao with ultimate. So Chovy can't get the kill onto Lucid here. The bullet time is fantastic, and then look, it gets a little bit risky here for Beryl, but he decides he wants to go in onto Chovy and avoid these bullets coming out from Ruler's ultimate. Gets Chovy's flash, because remember, Showmaker has his ultimate available, has flash available as well, and Chovy is just not going to stick around for that. They do try to get an exit kill here as DPLUS leave. They drop the equalizer, but they're unsuccessful. And then expecting everyone to have just backed away, Heen goes up here to push this wave in a little bit greedy, and Showmaker puts his first kill on the board here with help from Lucid and Beryl. And DPLUS looking very coordinated today.
Yeah, I mean, the mid jungle is getting really, really powerful. They have all 4 kills. Lucid has 3 of them, Showmaker has 1. And as Xin Zhao, it's the best jungle on the patch. We also have Azir, which arguably probably the best mid right now. And they're playing it out very well. We haven't seen any, big highlight plays from Showmaker, but he's playing a solid game outside of the one death.
The fact that he is there, the fact that he has flash and ult, is his presence alone, his positioning is why Chovy loses his flash there, right? The fact that he's able to with Barrel's shot calling, go up there and get that kill onto Keen is part of why they have a gold lead now. Pizza Strength did go over with that bottom turret being taken here by Gen.G. Pizza Strength have been, I don't want to say overrated, but just not as impactful as they were in LCK Cup, let's just say. Still significant, but I don't think DPLUS are as worried with the scaling they have, as they're just going to let this Herald crash. And they'll take half the turret.
Yeah, bit of damage, but also pretty big that they did get the Hex Tech Drake.
They got a turret topside, Gen.G did, and Showmaker's trying to trade for one in the bottom lane. It's very low.
So Canyon's just in there. I'm not really sure how he managed to get that close to CU, but now they're just going to turn on a Duro, looking for the free kill instead. Now DK literally up against a rock in a hard place with the rocks on the ground and the wall on one side, but they just walk away. Gen.G, they don't really have a good angle, and so mostly just disengaging.
It's really cool, though, to see that while Chovy could have just taken a turret and backed away there, he's like, no, I think with the positioning there, with their aggressive siege, I can maybe look for something. Speaking of looking for something, they're looking for Ruler.
And they're going pretty deep for this one. I don't know about this one, Beryl. The turret will go down, but the bullet time nearly going to take out Ruler, but at the end of the day, it is, of course, Beryl who does go down. Now, they did get the mid turret, as we immediately have a pause.
Yeah, as a result, we will resume the game.
Yes. Very important to read the bugs that are reported per patch, just so you know about that.
There are forbidden actions with known bugs, and then there are bugs that are just simply known that you have to play around. And every team is aware of them, and we won't discuss the bug here in detail. Maybe more information will come out about it later, but at the end of the day, it was something that will not impact the gameplay because both teams knew about it. And so we're still at this incredibly close game here, Valdez. I'm glad we're finally back into it. That bottom turret, they really want to take it out because the Otacon, of course, spawned in the bottom lane this time around in the bottom river. So we are looking to fight down there. Of course, Gen.G already had that first one. His Beryl is alone.
Yeah.
He's solo.
He is alone solo, and he did unlock Hex Flash. So for better or for worse, I suppose Atlas will be happy, especially because it's Beryl. But just trying to clear vision or get vision, I don't see any vision for them on the bottom river, and it's a little bit of a problem now that Beryl doesn't have his flash and isn't very safe to put down vision. He needs his whole team to come on over. So Chovy's just going to catch the wave in topside and put on some pressure there. He's got his TP. And as we know, in games that are this close, even in games that aren't this close, you should not just randomly start the Otacon.
No.
Unless you are planning on immediately turning and you're very far ahead and you know that the resistances that you're losing aren't going to play a factor.
Showmaker knows that Chovy has TP, and even though he has 2 items, I'm not sure about this call here. I mean, they could just try to force Chovy's TP because somebody otherwise has to deal with this push, and he will eventually get that top turret. So I think they're trying to use the Otacon to pull Chovy out, and I think it will be successful. The question is, what happens after Chovy shows up? Because here he comes.
The equalizer is very lackluster. It's only helping them actually kill the Otacon. We do have a wall to come down, but he goes down to the opposite side of that as now they try to go for the turn, as it looks like it will be secured by the Azir of all people, as now they're going super deep. Look at this, Keen immediately going to go down. And DK, they pull it off. Gen.G perhaps not responding on time, and they just got zoned away from the fight. The Voracious Otacon does go the way of DK, aiming nearly gets withdrawn there. Some low health bars, potential for Gen.G to get some extra gold, but
yeah,
doesn't look like, maybe Shu. Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble here. He's going to be knocked back. And the rest of the team, actually, Showmaker going to get the flash out of Ruler, but maybe goes a bit too deep for it as the first shot is going in on aiming. And look at the left side as well. Gen.G are winning that. And DK, you got the Otacon. You pulled off the impossible, but now you pulled off maybe the worst play of the game, as Showmaker is going to sweep away. It might not be a huge deal at the end of the day, as Kenny going to miss both daggers, actually, and not going to get that withdrawal. So they do get away
I don't think this is a win for DPLUS. To sum it up, the phalanx of this composition is so incredibly strong. We talked about the zone control, but like they get Chovy's TP, and Showmaker has 2 items. He has Nashor's Leandri's, so the damage here is really strong. And like you mentioned, the equalizer is helping. And then when the wall comes down, DPLUS still have this Alistair to get the W out of Canyon. Shiu's positioning here is phenomenal, and they have the bullet time here. And at this point in time, you can push on to Rumble, take him out, and leave. You can leave here. Well, okay, but it gets worse, because it's okay. It's okay here for Showmaker to get Ruler's Flash. Like, I'm totally on board with that. They clear the way, Ruler steps forward. After aiming ends up getting chunked down. Like, this is fine, but also could just leave. Now, Showmaker, okay, getting this Ruler Flash, that's the last part I'm okay with. Everyone else is leaving. Get Ruler's Flash, sacrifice Shiu, it's fine.
By the way, in live, we're fighting for the streak here. Gen.G, they want to go for this one, but Voracious Otacon still up on, it looks like 2 of the members. We have a wall coming down, but that's not going to do all too much. Barrel's just zoning them away. He goes into his ult, and he's like, all right, cool story. We got the dragon. The Showmaker goes in, gets stunned, only catches 1, but it's the Jin. It's a massive pick, and now the rest of Gen.G are on the backside, but Chovy a big shove to at least get some of this back here. Lucid has to go into his own ult, as Barrel should be going down here. Keen was fighting against 2 people up on the top side, but now finally maybe DK got something going. Canyon goes in, but a ton of damage goes his way, and Duro goes back in, and that is going to mean that Chovy picks up another kill here, and Shiu is also not very long. Showmaker, what is going on? What are you doing? Oh, he goes back in, and that's going to mean his death, and a shutdown for Chovy's Taliyah.
You know, 2 plays in a row. I'm very impressed by DPLUS. I'm very excited about what they've done. I'm like, wow, you really pulled it off. And then they wanted more, and they should have just been happy with 1 W. They wanted 2, and they got handed 2 L's in return. 1 step forward, 2 steps back on both plays. And the first one was okay because they still got control of the dragon. They still had a few of their Otacon buffs, but this time was just two bridges too far, frankly. And this is going to be Gen.G looking for the Baron. Barrel alone will do nothing against this. Aiming doesn't have his ultimate, even though he's fairly nearby. And the Gen.G crowd goes wild. As look at this setup here. She was on the flank angle, right? The Weaver's Wall isn't great. And Showmaker, because he has the Otacon buff still, is very willing to actually look for a flash play here. Ruler steps back, he flashes, gets pulled in, and from here on out, you could just collapse onto Keen and leave. Collapse onto Keen and leave. And then we play for a bit more. Like, Lucid and Barrel a little bit stuck here. They still get Lucid out, and then going back in here, like, why go in here? This is the part I don't understand, because Lucid already used his ult. And aiming is a misfortune without ult as well. Like, you don't win this in any world.
The TP.
And the TP is like even crazier. I'm like, wow, are they geniuses or are they lucky? I don't know. Showmaker tries to get over the wall here and fails, and then that's the turret, that's the Baron, and Gen.G fully in control of this game now. What was a very close game is now a Gen.G 4,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
And it looks like in this series, the tragedy came early, Valdez.
Maybe that 2-0 you predicted, Wolf. We'll see how game 2 goes. Or if Gen.G can even close this one out. I think that one was the play that kind of broke this game wide open, as Gen.G now have a significant lead of about 5,000. A 3,000 Red Bull Baron power play. And they're only getting more. I mean, they're just cycling from every lane, bot to mid, and now they're going to look for that top inner. And Chovy's are just going to fall too far behind from here.
Chovy's Taliyah plot armor feels very thick right now. And even though Keen's been caught 3 times, he's still on 2 items here. Still very relevant in this game. Showmaker does have his ornament. Does a ton of damage, but they are always going to be on the back foot now, map control-wise.
I mean, Gen.G just have so many threats, so even if Keen, like, just uses every ability and dies, it's fine, because you have so much backup.
That's going to be
it's just gone. And Lucid,
Keen's chilling.
There's nobody in mid. There's nobody even catching the wave. The whole team is rotating over now because, well, they're not going to hold mid, or top, rather. Looking for Keen, and there's just no follow-up on that Ornhorn. The equalizers have been a little bit sus today, Keen. I will say that. So maybe some pressure getting to him, but that's okay. They're still winning.
Still winning and still kind of zoning with that, I guess is what you can say. But they still get the inhibitor. They're going to get that top inhibitor turret. Pushing for the second one might be a little bit greedy, but Showmaker doesn't have flash. He does have his ultimate.
Duro is out of there.
Yeah, he is like, guys.
Left. He's like, nope. We're not going to do what DK did.
Let's not pull a D+, okay? I mean, because like the first play, we cut out of the replay, but it got like even worse from there. Like I was like, yeah, you get Ruler's flash, but then they're like committing into the fight in the river, and they're just completely on different pages to Showmaker. Because I think Showmaker's thinking maybe we collapse on the Ruler if he doesn't flash this, but if he does, okay, it's done. But the rest is like Shiu and Lucid are going back in. And that's the same case like in the fight that eventuated in mid, where they turned back towards Gen.G and just limbing ran their way through and then gave Gen.G a free Baron. Like DPLUS got Soul Point, you got Otacon, but you gave up everything else with those two hyper-aggressive calls when you already have a comp that scales so well and you got all the tools, all the pieces. Barrel's in trouble.
Yeah, Chovy is actually the most ahead out of any player. Barrel just does not want to flash and he does not want to use his ult, but now he is out of the fight. Even if he lives here, he's just gone, and now his team has to back away. Everybody's getting into a really rough spot. Now the counter engage comes in, but Duro just going to throw his lance into Lucid. Another root comes down and no crescent guard, so Lucid has to flash. And they're already so far behind in this game.
It's not the best equalizer again there, but it's just again zoning, and this is going to be the first dragon here for Gen.G. It looks like.
At least it hit someone.
Yeah.
This time.
And I say first dragon, it's the first Hextech dragon towards Hextech Soul, but they're not even on Soul Point. As here comes the Ornn ultimate.
I mean, they're going to get Chovy. He is a big target. The ult comes down, and Chovy's in a lot of trouble. They get Chovy down, but the fight is still continuing. Duro's going in, trying to save Keen meanwhile, as Ruler has a bit of a front line, but Barrel does a good job of zoning, but not quite good enough. Canyon just running Lucid around the jungle, and now he comes out behind aiming like a jump scare. And now we got a couple of tanks here on the side of DK up against 3 carries on the side of Gen.G. And Gen.G from this far ahead, I think they just have enough money. And they will just plop it on the heads of Lucid and maybe Shiu here. As Canyon still on the chase. Meanwhile,
Canyon.
Ruler just pushing mid.
Anthony, maybe you died for the first time at Chovy, but I won't. There's no CC to stop this teleport, but that's still a teleport down here. And he will be able to help potentially defend his base if we see Gen.G look for the end. They've got 2 super minions coming through. 10 seconds on Showmaker. I think they'll be happy to take this top inhibitor and then fish for anything else they can find, but they don't have to overextend here. I mean, yes, we are 30.5 minutes into the game. Death timers are long, but it was a bit of a staggered fight where DPLUS do have those respawns. So don't want to push your advantage too far here. Going back to this one again, it's like, all right, we got the angle on Chovy, we took him out, aiming channels the ult, but Keen's on the back side of this, and Duro actually comes in here and ruins DPLUS's day, because this buys a ton of space for Ruler, who can now close the gap here. Canyon also running circles around Lucid on the other side of the fight. If Lucid actually just stops chasing Canyon and goes back in, maybe this fight looks different, but he chases Canyon instead, who then rejoins, gets the wraparound on aiming you mentioned, and then from here on out, it's a wallet diff, but also it's a numbers game that I don't think you ever win as DPLUS. But a good start, at least, of the fight, and the Nexus is still alive. Showmaker's arm guard is broken. He's going to get his Zonia's pretty soon. Might actually be buying it right now as he packs, but you're going to need a miracle now, and I think DPLUS might be fresh out.
Yeah, I definitely did want to talk about items because Chovy, he didn't even go for what could be seen as standard as the 3rd item Zhonya. You know, sometimes you see players rush for a death cap, but instead he just went for a Void Staff and then maybe into a death cap or a Zhonya. So playing very much the damage game. You know, he was the most fed member, or at least had the biggest lead on his team. Now we got Canyon in a weird spot here. Doesn't have untargetable anymore. Just going to go forward because he can't go anywhere else. A lot of damage done to the outer members. Chovy getting low though as well. Shiu not able to do too much with this ult. Finally gets the knock up here on a Chovy, but down goes aiming, and that means that a ton of damage is just gone from this composition. Showmaker's already dead, and so Gen.G kind of just get to do whatever they want. Lucid, he's so tanky. He's actually quite fed in this game from his first 3 kills, but he can't do it alone in a situation like this. Oh, he's gonna get denied from the kill on the Chovy as well.
He's gonna have his GA by a little bit more time. I mean, they need time here, or else the Nexus is just gonna explode. Like, there's a super minion on the Nexus turrets here. Gen.G know that the respawns are coming through. They have several super minions pushing through the top lane, but with the health bars the way they are, they're just gonna settle for a Baron to then push to end after that. As this fight actually looks a little bit okay here for DPLUS at the initial outset, because Canyon already uses his untargetable, they collapse onto him, and the equalizer. This one is massive. This one hits everybody. Showmaker goes so incredibly low. Chovy has the follow-up. Showmaker did buy his Zonias before this fight. He's ready to pop out and get into the action, but he doesn't hit his Emperor's Divide, and Ruler ultimately still dies, but the fight is lost. Without the carries here, you're just never going to win this one as DPLUS. And Lucid sticks around a little bit longer here, gets caught because he's trying to use his wind becomes lightning to kill Chovy, and its wind becomes get seismic shoved to your death, and also the loss of your GA.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to come at Chovy, but you know, if you come at the king, you best not miss, as they say. And he came at him a second time after the res, but still gets denied.
Yeah, I do like the Zhonya's instead of, you know, greeting for a death cap. I don't think that Chovy needs the damage right now, so he gets Zhonya's 4th item here. 34 minutes into the game.
When you have this much money, I mean, you get a free one, basically. And when you're fighting into Orange, Xinjiao, and Alistair, damage sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you can go Majai's next. He's got 8 stacks. Might as well. But the game might not last that long, as they do have Baron again.
Naturally, top is pushing here, and they have now mid control, so they can look for some shoves here. If they catch anybody, the game ends. And even if they don't, DPLUS are the ones who have to make a play here to try to catch or try to punish. They are doing a good job of, with the wave clear they have, staving off this pressure, keeping their Nexus alive. And it's not soul here for Gen.G if they just back up to Dragon. But I mean, still, it's looking pretty doomed. I'm just saying all the positive things about DPLUS here that I can. It's my job as a caster, but it's not looking great.
Equalizer here. This is a decent amount of damage, but it's not really used in the fight. Beryl just going to hit the ground, it looks like. Just trying to tank for the team. Just trying to do something. He gets the Nagame in the canyon, but he goes untargetable. That is Nefiri. And this time, Lucid doesn't look all that tanky. Not in the face of all that damage. Finally, Showmaker's going to pull the trigger on the engage. Does get the kill on a ruler. And Drew getting pretty low, but I think the wallets are just too heavy at this point, and Canyon still has his ult. Gonna go in and finish off what is left of DK, as Shu also gets taken out. It's an ace for Gen.G, and that will be game 1 in their favor.
Heartbreaking loss for DPLUS. Such a strong start in this game. They kept it even. They had the critical Otacon take, but they fumbled the follow-up. They had the secure of the